What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Dép Podcast. Not live in studio, Tsalikis and I, not face to face. It's good. We need a break every once in a while, Simon. I think we do enough episodes in the studio, but now we will connect via satellite, as the kids are saying. I don't think any kids are saying satellite, but what's going on, Tsalikis?
What's going on?
You okay? Is everything good in Bearland?
Couldn't be better, man. Could not be better. I think this is. I'm not gonna say top of the food chain, but this is as good as it's gotten in a long time. So no complaints from me.
So what? Be honest. Did you think it was done? Was there a point where you thought, okay, this puppy's over, and they're not gonna, they're not gonna pull it off? Yeah.
Well, a whole bunch of times. A whole bunch of times. I think the hope was when McManus started to miss field goals and extra points. They just kept leaving the door open because the math wouldn't go away. Right. The math was always in. Yeah. When the math is always in within 16, it's a touchdown and a deuce, another touchdown and a deuce. It's possible, right? So once the math always stayed inside that number, it was outside that number, but when it got inside that number, like at the beginning of that fourth quarter, and then the Packers, I don't know. I don't know what the Packers did because they just it seems like they abandoned the run and they just things took the foot off the gas and I didn't think they ran the ball enough to just maybe extend a couple of drives by running. That might have been enough, but no, it was a very bleak for I'd say 50 minutes of that match, 57, maybe not 57, 53 minutes of that match. It seemed like it was doom and gloom.
I'll say this, watching it, and truthfully, I don't watch the Chicago Bears as often as you do. Like, I know you watch them week in, week out. I catch them, a few times a season. To me, watching that game, I felt like it was, and I don't want to look too far back into last week. I'd rather get ahead to this week. But I felt it was like one of those, it's just not our night. And, we'll regroup and come back next year and see if we can do it over again. Like when, they failed to convert on a couple of fourth downs. I think when the Packer offensive lineman caught the ball, when 70 caught the ball, dropped it, kicked it forward, and then it bounced out of bounds, and it was still Packer ball. I was like, man,
it bounced out of a Bears. It's not going to happen
for the Bears.
It bounced out of bounds because a bear jumped on
knocked it out.
Nobody around him,
You know, in the CFL, you know what the rule is in the CFL?
It's a touch rule, right?
It's whoever touches it last before it goes out of bounds, and I think I kind of like that better, to be honest, than jumping on it and having to get possession.
Look, that's a tough rule, right? Because the game is played by possession; it's not played by touch. Basketball's played a little bit more by by touch and stuff. But I would have loved the CFL rule. Somebody just booted out of bounds. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So look, I want to get into the Mike Tomlin news with you in just a second, but why don't we just start with the Bears matchup and get it out of the way. I don't know that the Bears are going to get the stop. I know you talked about this on the show a couple of weeks ago about the Bears not being able to get stops. And I'm going to wonder here if the Bears are going to be able to get enough stops to slow down the Rams. Look, you took out the Packers and, that's obviously a really good team. I think the Rams are a really good team, but, I won't lie to you. Watching the Rams and Panthers, I have no rooting interest, but I was definitely rooting for the Panthers for some reason. I really like Dave Canales and the job he did as head coach for the Panthers this year, but I was definitely pulling for the Panthers. But what I saw from Matthew Stafford in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter, I mean, it was something else. So I'm just wondering, to me, that's the matchup I'm going to have circled. Can they make Matthew Stafford uncomfortable? Because he looked real comfortable in the fourth quarter of that game, and he was outstanding in crunch time.
Yeah, look, it's the pass rush is one thing. The Bears don't stop the run very well. The Rams run the ball very well. Yeah. Jalen Johnson, when healthy, which I don't think he is healthy, he's one of the best cornerbacks in football. He is not healthy. Puka Nacua seems to be quite healthy. He just gets open all the time. It's just incredible. And that chemistry he has with Matthew Stafford is next level. And then there's the Devontae Adams, who's literally a guy who's had incredible big games at Soldier Field. The elements, the cold, any of these things, this nonsense about what the weather is going to be like. Matthew Stafford grew up, I think he went to Michigan State, right? And then he played for the Detroit Lions. And I get they played indoors, but he's played the Packers several times outdoors, and he's played in Chicago several times. So I think offense comes a little too easy to the Rams. I think the Bears will be able to move the ball, put up points, but that Rams offense is the absolute worst nightmare for the Bears. The Bears would have much more preferred, clearly, a Carolina squad to come in there, Philadelphia squad that can't find themselves on offense. I think that would have been the much better matchup. This matchup is actually a nightmare to go up against.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford played at Georgia, though, not Michigan State.
Georgia? Why was I thinking of Michigan State?
Well, maybe because he was in Detroit. He was in Michigan before getting to LA. But no, he played
Kirk Cousins. My bad.
Yeah,
was Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins. Yes, Kirk Cousins
yes,
definitely played at Michigan State. That's okay.
I was just remembering a white guy that was outstanding at the play-action pass. That's what I was thinking.
Fair enough. Okay, I want to stick with the other side of the NFC. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know that this is the sexiest matchup, Simon, but it's the one that I'm most intrigued by. There's one person I'm very much intrigued by. And, you remember last year, the Vikings draft J.J. McCarthy, gets hurt in training camp. They roll with Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold, for a bunch of weeks, was like, well, at one point, was an MVP candidate. I think he was in your top 5 MVP candidates. But I'll say this. When it came down to crunch time, you think about that game at the end of the season against the Detroit Lions in 2020, I guess it was 2025, or might have been the end of December, whatever it was, 2024. He fell apart, and he played some of his worst football. He definitely played his worst football of the season down the stretch in crunch time. Now, they got the bye last week. Now he gets to come in and play a playoff game against, 49ers team that, is banged up. And I know they talked about earlier this week, Fred Warner stepped on the field for the walkthrough, and they're not ruling him out for this game. I don't think Fred Warner is going to play this game. I think there's a chance that he could play if they make it to the conference title game. But to me, I think one of the things I'm most intrigued by, and when is that game? I'm trying to see when that game is.
I believe it's Saturday? 8 o'clock?
Saturday, 8 o'clock. That's the one. I'm really going to be paying attention to Sam Darnold because this is crunch time. And, based on what we saw last year, Sam Darnold didn't deliver in crunch time. Now it's new season. He had a really good year in Seattle. The offense moved the ball well all year long. But again, this is crunch time, Simon, and I'm very curious to see how Sam Darnold is going to perform against a 49ers team that they're a little beat up, but they do have some experience.
And look, and these teams know each other very well, right? That's the tough thing when you're in the playoffs and you get a divisional rival. We know that those teams play each other the toughest. And that is a storyline, Joey, because everybody's waiting for that other shoe to drop. It did at the end of last season with Minnesota. Minnesota wanted to move on from him. And like you said, he's been fantastic. They're the one seed in an NFC and the one seed in a pretty stacked NFC.
But if Minnesota could do it again, Simon, you think they would?
I would think move on from him.
Yeah.
No.
I think they'd go back, and I agree with you. I think he would.
Because he did the one thing that allows the Minnesota Vikings to go to bed and sleep comfortably, and he got Justin Jefferson the ball. When you don't have a stud at quarterback, it's one thing. It's difficult to win. But if you're Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, or whoever, that type of quarterback, and you're still feeding Justin Jefferson, you're still feeding if it's whoever CeeDee Lamb or Jamar Chase, if your number one receiver is still being fed, there's less noise in your locker room. There's less noise in your front office. There's a whole bunch of different things. So the one thing Sam Darnold did is he got the ball to Justin Jefferson, and they moved the sticks. At the end of the day, they lost in the playoffs. And they lost to a good football team. And I got to think if you go back, you keep Sam Darnold. But look, he knows this Niners team relatively well. Niners are just thin. Can they get the pass rush going, Joy? And the one thing, man, with the Seahawks offense, that running game has seemed to come to life here towards the end of the season. They have their legit number one receiver. He's got chemistry with Sam Darnold. So, and the big thing is, and this is why they play those 17 games in 18 weeks or whatever it is that bye week. They traveled to Philadelphia, a tough physical game. They got to travel back, and meanwhile,
it's a short week. They
got the short week. Yeah, they got the.
It's a short week, and they got 5,000. It was 5,000 just over 5,000 miles of travel. The Buffalo Bills are also going to have a short week, but they traveled, I think, like 1,300 miles. 5,000 miles. It's a big time trip,
especially at this time of year when the body is beat up and everything else, and you're just dying for that extra day of rest. They don't get that, and in the meantime, the Seahawks are sitting at home in an environment Joey, like no disrespect to other teams in the playoffs. It's not like rolling into Carolina or rolling into Jacksonville. Rolling into Seattle is a completely different beast. The Niners, I think Shanahan's done maybe his best coaching job ever of his career.
Fair.
But I still think that the Seahawks will find more plays. I think the Seahawks will figure out a way to win this game.
So what's the NFC title game?
Look, as much as I got to think it's the Seahawks and the Rams.
Okay. I'm going to go with 49ers Rams.
You think?
I know it's a short week, and I know that they traveled a lot, and probably not logical on my part, but I think that the 49ers will find some magic and they'll find a way to get it done.
Okay.
No offense to your Bears, but I do
okay.
think the experience of Matthew Stafford. And listen, it's a positive year for the Bears, Simon. I don't think you were expecting what you got from the Bears this year. I don't know if you were expecting a playoff win this year, but it's positive. I think it's going to come to an end. All right, let's flip it the other way. Buffalo Bills, Denver Broncos. Look, I'd like for Josh Allen to have some success. It's a really good defense on the other side. I don't know that Josh Allen has the play. I think Josh Allen's going to have to go superhero mode. And Simon, we've seen this. We've seen Josh Allen go superhero mode. We've seen him come up in the clutch. And how many seconds left when they had the Chiefs on the ropes in the playoffs a couple of years ago?
Left.
Like 11,
he left 13 seconds left.
13 seconds. Yeah.
That's
you know what I mean?
Wrong.
Like, so, I don't know that they have the playmakers that are going to be able to beat this Denver defense. But again, this has an opportunity to be legacy moment for Josh Allen because that your guys are aren't the greatest skill position players. I mean, I'm watching a game last week against Jacksonville. We've got Gabe Davis and Keon Coleman, who's hasn't lived up necessarily to the draft hype.
Brandon Cooks.
I was just going to say Brandon Cooks had that catch that was overturned. I was like, oh, that's a nice catch by Brandon Cooks on a third down. And then it ended up they overturned it. But Brandon Cooks is running routes out there. So the supporting cast is not going to be great. Obviously, you can use the run game with Cook to your advantage. But it's going to have to be superhero mode for Josh Allen because that's obviously not going to be an easy place to play and an easy place to win. I'm just curious what you make of Bills Broncos here.
You know what's funny about this game? Look, the Bills, they're gonna have to run the ball. They've got the best run game in football, great O-line. They're thin at wide receiver, but Patrick Surtain is it the second, I believe, Joy?
Yes, Patrick Surtain. Yeah,
it's a defending defensive player of the year, the most legit lockdown corner. It doesn't matter in this game. Who's he going to lock down? Did Josh Allen lock down whoever you want? I'm not going to these guys anyways. So I think the saving grace for the Bills here is they want to attack the middle of the football field. I still think they're pretty good when they put their two tight ends out there, two guys that can get open, two guys that can block, two guys that can stay in the run game. So the Surtain having a great shutdown guy, that's good if you're going against the Texans and Nico Collins. That's good if you're going up against the Rams and Puka Nacua, but when it's these group of wide receivers, Josh Allen doesn't care. He'll take his third best wide receiver against the opposition's third best shutdown guy. He's going to work the middle of the field with tight ends, and James Cook's going to get a lot of carries, and they're going to try to run the ball that way. But I think it's going to take an all-world performance again from Josh Allen. And now it starts to get interesting, Joey, because winning one on the road is nice. Now you got to go back on the road and win a second game. In this league, it can't just be the Rams go on the road and they win. San Francisco goes on the road and they win. Bills go on the road. At some point here, the football gods say, listen, road teams are going to have to take a backseat here to the home teams. So it's going to be Superman mode for Josh Allen. That's what it's going to take.
Okay, and before we make our predictions, let's go with the last AFC matchup. You said Nico Collins' name before. Nico Collins missed practice on Wednesday in concussion protocol, came out of the last game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, to me, one of the more underrated superstar receivers in the NFL. I still don't think he gets enough love. It'll be interesting. I mean, that's definitely going to swing. It's going to help swing my decision. I'm not saying if he doesn't play, I wouldn't pick them to win because that defense could take over. But this is going to be a real interesting test for Drake May. And Drake May, his wife seems like a really sweet lady, Simon. But Drake May's wife, like, you haven't seen this?
No.
Okay, she's like she does like these TikToks where she bakes and stuff like that, and it's really cute, and it's it's like a cute little thing, and he pops up in the videos, and it's they're a young couple, but it's just like it's a bit much now. NBC Sports Boston had her on, and she had like a cooking segment. It's like okay, I'm done with this. I enjoy watching your husband play quarterback. He's had an unbelievable year. The Patriots renaissance is big, but this is going to be big because Drake May is going to get maybe the stiffest test of his NFL career to date because you saw it. And I know Aaron Rodgers isn't the same guy that he once was now that he's in his 40s. But holy smokes, did the Texans defense make his life difficult on Monday night?
Yeah, not only that, Joey, the Chargers, which is a good defense, it's a good defense. They just kept feeding the Patriots field goal attempts, and they were making it until Drake May made that big throw. I believe it was that tight end. Was it Henry that he got?
Hunter Henry, yeah.
Hunter Henry down the field there on a beautiful throw. That was the one time that they got over that defense. So with this defense, you're not going to see that. So they're going to need. My concern about the Patriots was it was really nice that they did it with rookie at the running back position. My concern with them was this year was, are they like the Bills? Are they skilled enough at wide receiver to just put a guy on an island and go? I don't know if they got that. This defense is going to come after you. It's good, obviously, that the Patriots will be at home for this football game. The Nico Collins is a massive loss, and we can talk about the Sam Darnold and worried about him and questioning him. CJ Stroud too, Joey. He wasn't good in that game. He put the ball in the ground 5 times, fumbles and interceptions in the red zone. He was terrible in that football game, and the only reason that game was a football game was because CJ Stroud was having himself a bad football game. Then it was the return for 6, and then eventually to close it out, the pick 6. Yeah. So CJ Stroud has to be a lot better because that Patriots defense is going to be good too. But this is a nice matchup because I don't think anybody's playing better football than the Texans D. And the one thing about having a great defense, Joey, it travels. Sometimes their offense doesn't travel. It's caught up with customs and stuff like that. A great defense travels. Yeah. So it should make the makings for a nice football game.
All right, who's playing the AFC title games?
Joey, you're not going to believe this. It's going to be the Broncos and the Texans.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, really good defenses, really underrated. Not underrated defenses,
the rest
but
is a big thing for the Broncos as well.
But but it's not even just. It's not that they're underrated. It's just like I think if you ask even hardcore NFL fans, like how many players on defense can you name on either team? I think you have your the obvious ones that pop up, but I think there's a lot of guys that fly under the radar on both defenses. I think I'm right there with you, Tsalikis. I think it's going to be Broncos Texans. I think we agree. So of the 4 picks, I think we only disagree on one. I think you have Seahawks and I have 49ers. And I don't feel great about the 49ers because the short weekend to travel. But Sam Darnold's going to have to show me. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if Drake May proves if Drake May proves me wrong and finds a way. The Nico Collins injury we talked about. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be a little surprised if Buffalo won, but at this stage of the game, I mean, there's nothing, there's nobody shocking left, I don't think.
I saw the Bills play the Texans this year, and they almost killed Josh Allen. So Drake May, good, big, athletic. He can run a la Josh Allen, but the safest place for him might just be in that pocket. The young man's got to learn. You know what? Putting one in the second row every once in a while, even turning it to second down or third down or bringing out your punt team, that may be okay.
Yep. Okay, before we wrap it up, we've got a couple minutes left, Simon. Just the Mike Tomlin news. Look, it wasn't shocking. I mean, I think it was reported on plenty that that this was going to probably be in the works had they gotten bounced early in the playoffs, and maybe even if they went on a run, he would have stepped away. But I was reading an article out of Pittsburgh earlier today. And when Mike Tomlin took over as head coach, it was a couple of years before Instagram popped
Text
up.
Messages.
And iPhone, the iPhone 1 was 5 months away from coming out. That's when Mike Tomlin took over. Obviously, I know the Steelers fans and Steeler Nation, they're passionate. They know their ball. I mean, they travel extremely well. There's a ton of them here in Montreal, and I run into them. We have a lot of conversations about this. They were fed up. They've been fed up of being mediocre. And I get it. 7 playoff losses in a row. You haven't done any damage in a really long time in the postseason. But I think the standard which Mike Tomlin set there. I mean,
standard is the standard.
The standard is the standard. But Simon, it's like, I think people don't realize, like, yes, eventually you want to have playoff success. I'm there. Okay. But at the end of the day, Simon, look at there's a lot of teams that we think are really, really good that don't end up making the playoffs. Kansas City Chiefs didn't make the playoffs this year. So the fact that they've done it all these
Commanders, all these good teams from last year.
They went to the NFC title game last year, and this year they're out of the playoffs again. So, and to me, you look at the coaching job that Mike Tomlin's done, and I know from a management or team building perspective, it's been a little bit more difficult, but you look at it since Big Ben walked away. I mean, they roll out with Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett. I mean, they drafted. I mean, they botched they botched some of the picks, but
Russell Wilson. I mean, they've patchworked and they've missed in the draft. So they do have themselves to blame. But still, he's gotten some results with some mediocre quarterback play. And Aaron Rodgers was good this year. Was okay this year, but he wasn't. Who knows what. So I don't know what your thoughts on the Tomlin thing are. I don't think he's going to coach for a while. But I think that if there's a marquee, but I think if next year, if there's a marquee job that opens up, I think that you'll hear Mike Tomlin's name. Yeah, he also, listen, if he gets comfortable behind a desk, Joey, working at Fox, ESPN, whatever, and Bill Cowher was the same thing, right? Like, he stepped away from football and then to realize there's a ridiculous amount of money here. I'm not going to go back.
Tony
Dungy, I'm going to go back and chase what? Look, Mike Tomlin is still young from a coach's perspective, but he 19 years of being a head coach, financially set for generations, and will continue to be financially set. It all depends what he wants to do. I don't think he coaches this year. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff with the Steelers too, right? You got to trade to get him because he's owed money and he's under contract, and he still has a contract. But look, you hear Steelers Nation, we haven't won in the playoffs, dude. Bears won the first game in 20 years in the playoffs, man. Like, and it's not like we were there for the last 19 years. Like, I think the one thing I think I can be critical though, Joey, of Mike Tomlin is you're the head coach, 19 years. The Rooney family gives you rope, and you've got pull in there. And the Mason Rudolph, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, man, that is on the coach, man. That's, you got to go to the draft and say, okay, this kid here, whatever, Jackson Dart, fine, we'll take him. We need to get younger. We need to get more athletic. And we need, not that Justin Fields wasn't young and athletic, but we needed a quarterback back there, And I think the last 4 or 5 years, he's been part of the problem when he's from just not 1,000%. Putting his foot down and say, hey, man, second round, grab a QB. This year, Joey, they got Aaron Rodgers, and they didn't want to go Kirk Cousins on him, meaning they didn't want to go back into the draft and draft somebody. The name that I brought up, I don't even know if Steelers Nations like it. Dude, go get Kyler Murray. Go get younger. Go get more athletic.
Oh, that's a tough contract to digest, but
I know, but something along those. Go get Sam Darnold. When the Baker Mayfields. Stop with.
But Simon, the roster's old. Like the Hayward is older, and they've got a lot of older guys.
Yes, I'm more. I think
on
it's the defensive side.
Yeah, just I think you're gonna have to take a step back, revamp it a little bit, and then come back, and hopefully you find your head coach to lead you there. That's what I think it's going to come down to. So got to get a little younger.
Just signing quarterbacks in their late 30s and early 40s. Come on, like it's go out there, throw something at somebody. I don't know who else can be available, but just get younger, get more athletic. Start with that. Go to the draft. There's somebody in that second round. Go grab that guy in that second round. And see if you can work out with him. Just move on from this mindset of just getting somebody else's retread.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tsalikis, be good. We're back tomorrow. We'll be back in the studio tomorrow. Are you down to talk Habs?
Yes, sir.
I think we'll put the focus on some of the injured guys, i.e., Patrick Laine, and where he'll fit in once he comes back, because he's been skating. So we'll see where he fits in when he gets back into the lineup. We'll talk more Habs tomorrow. Tsalikis, behave yourself. And don't forget, folks, you could subscribe to the podcast here on YouTube. If you're watching, you can also listen on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll be back on Friday with a little more Montreal Canadiens talk on the Sports Dép Podcast with Joey Alfieri and Simon Tsalikis. Tsalikis, take us out.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, everyone.